Welcome. MLB First Pitch, Friday edition, August 28th, and we are live as we are every Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific here on Wager Talk TV. And we'll be back, of course, with bonus episodes this weekend, hosted by my man, Mid-Major Matt Josephs, on Saturday and Sunday at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, right here on Wager Talk TV. I am joined by my baseball experts for Friday, Mid-Major Matt Josephs, Dave Koken, Tony Finn. Matt's at sportsmemo.com. Myself, Steve Merrill, Tony, and Dave are at wagertalk.com. And Matt, let me bring you in. What have been your thoughts this week on baseball, and how's the week gone overall for you?
Well, I was going through a miserable stretch, had a couple of days where I wasn't seeing things well, so I took a couple of days off. I went to the beach, just kind of enjoyed myself, relaxed a little bit, and hopefully a little fresher here, starting to ease back in a little bit. Also excited because we have a college football game this weekend, and I'm going to put a play up a little bit later on this afternoon.
Good point, Matt. And his namesake, Mid-Major Matt, is exactly for that reason. He specializes in the mid-majors, the FCS, and we have one of those ugly ducklings, Matt, this weekend, who's at Central Arkansas and Austin Pay. I don't even know how to pronounce it.
It is the Governors and the Bears as Austin P and Central Arkansas and lovely Montgomery, Alabama this weekend.
Yeah, I did know they're the Governors. Did not know that Central Arkansas was the Bears. So that's an FCS game, and I do specialize in that as well, as Matt knows. We've talked a lot of FCS over the years here on the East Coast, but Matt releases those as actual best bets. He's done very well, and that's why he is Mid-Major Matt at sportsmemo.com. College football starts tomorrow. Wow, what a great thing to say. Dave Koken, another great thing to say is that baseball resumes today. We weren't so sure yesterday.
Well, no, I knew they'd play today because it's Jackie Robinson Day, and there's no way they were going to take today off. Full schedule. The first game is in a rain delay, so looks like we have the full schedule after this show. I have a best bet up on a game I like quite a bit, and also a free play, and you can check out the free play at wagertalk.com or follow me on Twitter. It's there. The other social media platforms as well. So hoping for a good couple of results today.
And Tony Finn, 28-8 this week, and you had a couple cancellations in the NBA on Wednesday. Did you get a game in yesterday finally?
No play.
Still 28-8.
And we started out today on the same foot, as Dave made note of, or he did before we came on there. That was there's a pitching change in the Minnesota game, which makes I had a play on this game again. It's another no play.
So yeah, we can update on that. The first game is now scheduled. I mean, they had terrible rain this morning in Detroit, but evidently things are clearing up, and they're scheduled to start at 3:10 Eastern, 12:10 Pacific. But Whistler will now start for Minnesota. Skubal will start for Detroit. Those were the pitchers for the second game. We have undecided listed as now for game 2, so I'm not sure what's going to happen there.
Yeah, and of course, it's interesting, guys. You know, the 8 games that were played yesterday were the 4 doubleheaders, the 4 doubleheader series, and then the 7 that were canceled were all the single games. So it's quite obvious what the game plan was yesterday. We talked about it here on the show. You know, the Cardinals were several weeks behind everyone else. Lo and behold, they played their 2 games yesterday, and we do have a full slate here. But a lot of pitching changes, as Dave mentioned, Tony mentioned, rain delays as well. So we're going to do what we can do here. We'll handicap the information as we have, as we always do. Let's start with our first featured game, though. It's Braves-Phillies. Mid-Major Matt is a Pennsylvania guy at heart. His Sixers are done, so he can full focus on the Flyers and the Phillies now. Matt Josephs, what is your take on your Phillies in this game in particular against the Braves?
Well, I mean, Wheeler's been pretty good this year, and the best part of Zach Wheeler is he's giving the Phillies length. The last time he faced the Braves was down in Atlanta. It was just 6 days ago. Went 7 strong innings, had 8 strikeouts, no walks, the 2 earned runs, the 5 hits, and so. And that's the best part, because then you could kind of go to your Neris Workman, you could go to your Adam Morgan and everything, and you can leave out the bad parts of the Phillies bullpen. On the other side, Robbie Erlin, who's still in the rotation, didn't pitch that bad in that other game. Just gave up the home run to Bryce Harper. Only went 4 innings though. The Braves do have the edge when it comes to the bullpen. With regards to the Phillies, I never want to lay this kind of price, especially with the bullpen. It could be one of those first 5 inning type situations to keep the guys out. Wheeler's going to give you 5 most likely. And if you think about it, the Phillies offense is really good this year. So to me, this would be a case where I like the Phillies first 5, and then you take all the other uncertainties out of it.
Yeah, Dave, right now we're seeing them favored by $1.35. The Phillies $1.35 favorite. The total is 9.5 to the under.
And I just want to punch up my numbers on it and see what the first half's a little higher than that, 145 on that. So, they've compensated in the number for the pitching advantage that the Phillies would seem to have with Wheeler against Erlin. Not really impressed with Erlin's numbers, to be honest with you. His ERA is high, and then you look at the metrics, and they're right in line with the ERA. So sometimes you'll find misleading numbers that you might be able to take advantage of. It's not the case here. Wheeler's been solid. I thought it was priced a little bit too high. I made it 127. So we're in the same ballpark, but I just don't see any particular value with the Phillies at this price. And I don't really want the Braves in this spot because I think there is a definite edge in the starting pitcher side with Philadelphia.
Yeah, Tony Finn, do you see any value in this game? Phillies $1.35 favorite.
I won't talk to value, but I'll talk to, as Dave did, the pitching matchup is a significant edge to Wheeler. First off, Erlin, if you look at his peripherals, just take a look at his ground ball to fly ball ratio. It's and playing in Philly, Matt talked to the home run he gave up last time. It wouldn't surprise me if he gave up, if they left him in long enough, he gave up 3 or 4 in the Phillies route here. So I'm just saying that hypothetically, if I had an edge or if I was going to play this game, I'd be on Philly.
Yeah, and as Dave said, the first 5 inning line, $1.50 versus $1.35 for the game. So obviously they are factoring in the starting pitching edge there for Philadelphia, if that's how you want to look at this one. Guys, let's look at our next featured game here for Friday. Matt, I'll throw it to you. We got Cubs, Cardinals, 2 teams right now that are sitting from the NL Central in the playoffs.
Cubs, Reds.
Oh, I'm sorry. Cubs. Yeah, you had Cubs Cardinals in the featured game here, and I didn't even pull it up. You're right. Yeah, Cubs Reds. You're exactly right.
I wrote it down wrong. Sorry,
no problem.
That's my fault.
That's my fault. I should have pulled it up from the odds. I usually look at the odds first, and I just wanted to double check that because I wasn't sure I had it right here. But yeah, it is Cubs Reds. $1.30. Hendricks over Molly.
Well, it's funny because we talked so much about the Reds before the season as being that team, and I think we're finally starting to see that. And now would not be a bad time in the futures market to potentially invest in the Reds because this division, there's no runaway team in this division. There's no runaway team other than the Dodgers potentially in the National League. And if you look and you see, you got Bauer and Gray as your top 2 for the Reds. That's not a bad thing to take into the playoffs here. So maybe you want to invest a little bit in the Reds futures market. With regards to this game, I don't know if I can back Tyler Mahle. He faced Chicago earlier this year. Pitched all right, 2 earned runs in 4 innings. 4 innings. His last 2 starts, he's gotten some strikeouts. He's not going deep in games though. Now there was a little bit of a rest period. There was an 11-day stretch between the one start and the next start. With regard to Hendricks, you're getting a guy who's not pitching his best right now. 6 runs and 10 hits in his last 2 starts. Had his worst start of the season in Cincinnati against the Reds. One other note: the Reds are now 5-0 in games Joey Votto has missed or didn't appear in. They've outscored their opponents 28-7 in those games, and they're 8-17 in games he's played in. He should not be in as high as in the lineup as he usually is. I don't think I really have a good sign here, but I think it's a good time to buy the Reds in the futures market.
Well, Votto won't be playing today, is the latest information I saw. So that's a good thing for Cincinnati. The downside for the Reds is this, and it's just I can't give you a reason for this, but it is what it is. They're on a good roll right now, and everybody's getting excited about the Reds again. And this has been an ongoing thing now for about 3 years, where every time the market gets excited about the Reds, they fall completely on their face. And here it comes again, because seeing this morning that we're following some of the top baseball writers, the Reds have decided to be in buy mode at the upcoming deadline rather than sell mode, which means Trevor Bauer is going to stay there. Some other guys are going to stay there, and they won't be trading away. And I've just gotten so used to the Reds flopping when things seem to be going their way that I get really reluctant to back them in situations like this. They're going to have to prove they can actually win when people think they're about to win. Miley's a guy I just stay away from as a rule. He just never wins. I mean, that's just you go back to a streak he had last year, was some ridiculous streak of games he started where they lost. It wasn't his fault for the most part. He pitched pretty good ball, but they never got him run support, or the bullpen would blow the game, or whatever. He's not very fortunate in this game. I made the line. I made the line right where the number is. Basically, I made it 125. So I don't see anything of particular value here. But all I'm saying is the market's getting excited about the Reds again, and that's when you usually want to avoid them like the plague.
Yeah, Tony, speaking of the futures that Matt referenced, one book I'm looking at right now, if you get the Reds to win the World Series 40-1, Cardinals 40-1, you get the Cardinals are 18-1 to win the NL, Reds are 25-1 to win the NL. So you probably do get some value, playing these non-playoff teams that have a chance to still make the postseason.
Yeah, I'll book the. I'm with Dave. I'll book the Reds. You want to play the Reds? I'll book that. Here I have notes on Marley, and Dave's already hit on it. I mean, every single one of my notes, almost every single one of my notes with Marley's unfortunate, bad luck. You can only have bad luck for so long when part of it, you have to be accountable for part of it. He's another guy that I stayed away from, especially in warm weather games in later in the season. Only 25. It's not like has a long history, but his ground ball, fly ball ratio, he's a fly ball heavy pitcher, and facing the Cubs, at Great American, I stay away.
By the way, the Reds offense got healthy after 4 straight games with 2 runs or less and all 4 losses. They put up 12 runs on 21 hits in just 14 innings, maybe 15 innings. I think one of them went an extra inning yesterday. So yeah, we'll see if that continues here on Friday for the Reds at home against the Cubs. Guys, let's look at our last featured game, and then we'll get to some quick hits. Go look at A's Astros. 2 very interesting teams to talk about here in the AL. 2 contenders to say the least. Houston, $1.10 favorite. Matt, total is 9 flat.
There was a fascinating article in the Houston Chronicle about McCullers this season because I talked about it. I like McCullers. I like his potential, but he's a bit snake bitten. He's had problems when it comes to 0-2 counts and getting ahead. 10 of the runs that he's allowed this year have come after an 0-2 count. He's given up 18 hits when he's ahead or on the first pitch of an at-bat, and he's only got a ground ball rate of 62.6%. If he can start figuring out how to get these strikeouts and start figuring out how to use more of his stuff, he's going to be a better pitcher. The question is, does it happen today against the A's at home? When you look at Bassett, he's only given up 3 home runs. His walk rate is down, but his strikeout rate's not great. And once again, I don't really want to get ahead of the Astros right now. So probably nothing here for me, but something to watch for McCullers is when he gets ahead of hitters, is he putting them away or is he giving up more hits and runs?
Yeah, Dave, what are your thoughts here? Tony, as I've talked about all season, the A's put up a lot of runs, but not a lot of hits.
I'm going to skip out of this game because it's my best bet for the day. It's at wagertalk.com right now. $25. If you have WagerTalk bucks, it'll be less than that. Wager bucks. And of course, anybody who's on for my packages gets these games. So I do have a strong opinion on this game, and hopefully it'll get there.
Once again, wagertalk.com. Dave Koken's got a best bet here in the big game between the A's and Astros for Friday. Tony Finn, how are you looking at this one?
As Matt mentioned, listen, first off, 62% ground ball rate's pretty good in my book. I'll take that any day from a pitcher. And Matt's correct. When you're a ground ball pitcher like McCullers, typically you don't have that elite out pitch. And with 2 strikes, you're hoping that their hitter shortens the swing and he hits a ground ball, whether it be a double play, triple play would be nice. But into and out, keep the ball on the ground, you got a chance. I like McCullers as Matt does. I always have liked him. And in this situation, it's a good pitching matchup. Bassett, I liked him yesterday. And we talked a little bit about I liked Bassett yesterday. They come from Texas. They get postponed. So here it is, different matchup, different team, obviously, Houston and Arlington. So I passed on this game, but I would lean McCullers.
And once again, Dave Koken does have a best bet on this game between the Astros and Athletics right now at wagertalk.com. A lot of games, guys. We'll do some quick hits here. We do have a rain delay, as Dave mentioned, between the Twins and Tigers. I guess we'll quickly hit that one. They might still have some lines up on. Anybody have any thoughts on that real quick?
Yeah, I can get you the current numbers if I can get my mouse to slide over where it's supposed to be. Looks like it's $1.60 now with Whistler versus Skubal. And I will tell you, I basically hadn't looked at the game because this was going to be the second game. And to me, it's kind of pointless to look at game 2 until you see what's happened at game 1. So I have nothing of note on this game other than to say I did some base work, and these aren't exactly 2 good pitchers. Okay, Whistler has a great ARA, but he's basically an opener, and his metrics really aren't very good. And Skubal has not indicated yet that he's ready to face major league pitching or major league hitting, I should say. So, he could be in against the Twins here. This might be a game where you get some runs.
Matt, anything maybe in game or for game 2 that you're looking at here?
Well, it looks like the doubleheader's been postponed already.
Oh,
which
now
is
it's postponed?
Yeah, it looks like, according to some people on Twitter, and I'm checking out some of it, but there are some people who are saying that the game has been postponed today and due to rain, which is odd because there's 2 games. Maybe you wait for the second one, but it looks like the doubleheader has been postponed.
They must be looking at the radar. I have not checked it, but I guess they see a lot of rain today. And the good news is we don't have to hear Tony Finn's take on this game. But Tony, I'll tell you what I'll do to be fair. I'll throw the Mets to you. Your METS Mets. No jersey today. For those that weren't with us the other day, Tony Finn wears a Mets jersey, I believe, on Wednesday, and the Mets proceed to get shut out in a doubleheader for the first time in 45 years. Even more turmoil and controversy last night with the hot mic. I don't know if you guys saw that story. Tony, I'll let you hit it with the Mets here first.
We're going to save the Mets jersey. Next time the Mets, somebody has a game and they're backing the Mets, just call me. I'll wear the Mets jersey. I mean, I won't wear the Mets jersey. I don't listen. I have no opinion on this game. We'll pass on this one as well. I'd love to be on the left-hander in this game. I won't be because of the price. I thought with Walk on the Mound, Montgomery opposing, I thought it should have been more. I thought it would have been 20% the other way, so I just passed.
Dave, it's tough to really handicap the Mets, in my opinion, right now. A lot of controversy last night. The owner apparently wanted them to go not play for an hour as a protest and then come back out and make a big statement and play, and just a mess right now in New York.
Yeah, somebody Sabino saying Mets versus Yankees might be canceled. Yankees haven't boycotted. No, there's no way. There's no way any games are being sat out for protests on Jackie Robinson Day.
Right.
0%. That would not be a good look. Okay. So unless there's rain, these games are going to get played. I mean, I'd be shocked if anything other than that took place. Yeah, evidently this has now been rained out. Okay. So we can skip the Twins Tigers. Mets and Yankees. Waka is he's a really tough guy to back.
Yeah.
But the number here is not a bad number. I know it looks tempting to take the Yankees, and I did price them a little bit higher. I made it 150, but I don't think it's a bargain. The Mets offense is starting to come around, and the Yankees offense is missing guys. I mean, I know that they've had a remarkable run last year and this season of compensating for injuries and getting the job done. But geez, it's just that can't go on forever. And I think it's something the Yankees look. I don't think they have to worry about it particularly because they're going to be in the playoffs, and for them the task is just to get through the 60 games and have these guys healthy when the postseason starts. But it does make the Yankees a bit risky to me in a lot of matchups like this. And look, the Mets, the players can't control what's going on off the field. I don't know that it has any impact on them. I think they're going to be excited about facing the Yankees. This could be a fun game tonight. Neither pitcher wows me very much. Might see some scoring at Yankee Stadium here.
Yeah, Matt, I was going to say the one thing that should keep them focused, as Dave mentioned, is that this is the in-city rivalry series, so hopefully that will keep the players motivated. Speaking of futures, Matt, Yankees at 5-1 right now, the second favorite still after the Dodgers, who are 3.5 to 1 to win the World Series. The Tampa Bay Rays are 10 to 1, double the odds, even though they're ahead of them right now in the division. Matt, what are your thoughts on this game and the Yankees overall right now?
Well, I mean, it's the Yankees are not healthy right now. Normally, one of the things I like to do is fade a pitcher coming off the injured list because they hadn't pitched in a while. Waka's probably not going to go very deep. I know it's only going to be a 7-inning game, but I don't expect him to go more than 3 or 4 coming off the injury list. So to me, I would look to the Yankees. But the Yankees lineup is, there's no Judge, there's no Stanton, LeMahieu's close, but there's a lot of injuries here. And so who's going to get those runs? To me, it would be a lean to maybe the Yankees in this game because I like the fade guys coming off the IL, but I don't love it. And then once again, you've got the double header, so you want to make sure the lineups are out and see who's playing in that first game as opposed to just the second game.
I think if I had to bet this, even though my number is a little higher, I think I'd take the Mets. Call it a gut feeling, but I kind of like their lineup against Montgomery. I think they're going to be – sometimes this off-the-field stuff translates into more focused efforts on the field. It's like these guys take the attitude of it's us against the world. And the Mets are going to be excited about the Yankees. It's not on my card, but I think the Mets win this game.
Yeah, and by the way, I believe the Mets are the home team in Game 2. They're the road team here in Game 1, and I believe they're home team in Game 2. So that's something else.
That's correct.
Just kind of a little technicality there, another thing to look at. But also, we do have a doubleheader here. Like Dave said, you can check Game 1 and see if they come motivated. We'll see if they're flat. We'll see if they're playing hard. and use that information to handicap game 2, then once we have the starters listed, doubleheaders are tricky, as we've talked about on this show. Matt, let's look at Baltimore and Buffalo. Toronto Blue Jays at home and hitter-friendly Buffalo, a $2 favorite over the Orioles, Matt.
Yeah, I'll most likely pass on this game. Means has not shown me enough yet this season, and Ryu's velocity is all over the place. I like him. It's too expensive here, so you can just move on to someone else.
I think that you can make a case here for the Blue Jays minus a half run first 5. Ryu's, look, he's not pitching great ball, but he's been okay. I mean, these numbers are, xFIP is 3.06. That's pretty damn good. And it tells you that even though he might not be at the top of his game with his velocity, he's still getting people out. And he's actually had maybe a little bad luck, you could say. Means has been really unimpressive so far. And it kind of looks to me like Means was maybe a bit of a flash in the pan last year where he had some numbers that sometimes lefties the first time around the league, as was the case for Means last year, they don't get figured out right away. They can have some deception in their motion. I think that might be the case with Means. He has just not been good at all so far. I would go that route. If you're going to play this game, Blue Jays first 5 minus a half run.
Yeah, and the first 5 line, the game line is minus 200. First 5 is minus 210. The minus half is about minus 150, minus 145. So you're cutting that in half almost. Tony, hitter-friendly Buffalo. We touched on this yesterday. Games weren't played, of course, but the only reason that game went under the other nights because Red Sox only scored 1 run, but Toronto still put up 9 at home in what's been a very hitter-friendly park. And now we have a total of 9.5 to the under. Pretty low total for Buffalo, where they're averaging almost 12 runs a game.
I'll follow Dave. Means a 2-pitch pitcher, and he's using his fastball less this year. He's an all-star by default. Last year, let's just say he was the one Baltimore Oriole that made the all-star team. And for the most part, what Dave outlined is correct. Means is, guys, it's going to be figured out. If you're a 2-pitch pitcher in this era of baseball, your fastball better be one of your 2 pitches better be elite, dynamite for you to make it. So I pass.
So, Matt, we'll look at Tampa, who I referenced earlier, is in the lead in the AL East against the Miami Marlins, who win percentage-wise are still sneaking into the playoffs just because they've played less games than some other teams. So what are your thoughts on this one, Matt?
Well, it's unlisted, but it looks like it's going to be Sixto Sanchez going for the Marlins. I mean, he had a solid MLB debut. He gave up those 2 home runs. He had 4 strikeouts, no walks, and he showed a bunch of pitches. Like, he showed a very nice arsenal. The fastball was around 98.5. 5 of the first 8 went over 100, but he also throws a nice changeup in the slider. The one thing is that his fastball didn't miss a lot of bats in the minors. He had an 8% swinging strike rate on the pitch in the minors. The MLB average is 11. To me, I'm not a huge Yarbrough guy. I'm just not. I don't, he's got a 6.27 ERA this month. There's a lot, I think he's just a mediocre lefty. And, the Marlins in the past have hit lefties pretty well. So to me, it would be a Marlins lean. But once again, I also don't see a price in this game.
No, there's no line.
Yeah, exactly. So I would lean to the Marlins, but I also need to see the price as well.
I would agree with that. I like the way the Marlins are playing, and Yarbrough isn't pitching at the same level he did last year. But we don't know what the price is going to be.
Yeah, Tony, it's Yarbrough and then undecided, but as Matt said, it looks like it is going to be Sanchez for the Marlins. Any interest if we get a price on this game?
No, I would play against Yarbrough. His command is just not what it was last year. He's not shown me any signs that he's going to improve. I couldn't play Tampa at this price.
Matt, one game we do have a line on is our Washington Nationals, our local team here, minus $1.55 road favorite at the Red Sox. How are you handicapping this one?
Well, Scherzer just hasn't seemed like he has been Scherzer. Now, you're used to when you watch Scherzer pitch, he gives up those solo home runs because just some guy, gets a hold of one of his fastballs and, hits it out of the park. But he's got the 5.30 ERA this month. The last 2 starts came against Miami and Baltimore, who are weaker lineups of the sort. So you'd expect that Scherzer would pitch better. That game against last time, he pitched well and then ran into some trouble in the 5th inning. They went out there, they met him, and then he walked the guy and the bases were loaded, and then they took him out. And, I'm not a big Martin Perez guy, but he's shown to have some decent numbers, 2.61 ERA this month. Nats smack the left-handers around. Yes, so to me, it might be an early look at the Nationals in this one.
I agree completely. I think Max is fine. There's nothing to indicate that there's a decline at all. I mean, I'm seeing he's given up some hits and runs. But if you look at all the peripherals and his velocity on all his pitches, it's right there where he's always been. So I think this is just one of those stretches he's going through where he's just not maybe on top of his game, not putting guys away as he normally does. And I think he's going to be fine. Perez, look, and this is what I talked about in the free play video today, because this was the game I talked about. And I did bet this game. I don't put as much stock into the metrics as I used to, only because I don't think the edge is as great as it used to be, because it now gets incorporated into the number. There was a time going back maybe 6 or 7 years where nobody was doing anything with metrics, at least not on a massive basis. And when you found misleading base numbers, you could really take advantage of it. Well, that stuff's caught up now, but there are still things that you look at that are telling. And one of them is on Martin Perez. ERA is 3.45. XFIP is 5.55. That's still a really big difference. And it tells me that the 3.45 is pretty phony and that the 5.55 is probably more realistic. And then you factor in, as Matt mentioned, the Nationals, they've been clobbering lefties. I mean, they've got really good numbers against lefties. I think the edges here are clear with the Nationals. Stated many times this season, I think accurately the Red Sox really don't give a damn. This is a game where you can play Nationals first 5 minus a half run. You can play Nationals -1 in the game. If you can't get a -1, you just create your own. It's obviously very easy to do. And I think the Nationals do get the win here.
Yeah, as Dave mentioned yesterday, Dave actually had a best bet on this game. My best bet, Dave, also was on the Nationals yesterday on the run line. And you mentioned you liked playing them half unit on pick 'em, half unit -1.5, and that creates the -1 run line for you right there in the middle if your book doesn't offer it. Tony Finn, what's your quick take? By the way, Tony, as Dave said, the Red Sox are on the selling block. When you have only 1 run and 3 hits and hitter-friendly Buffalo in your previous game, that's a concern.
Yeah, it is a concern. I think he's mentioned that from day one. He's been concerned about the Red Sox from day one. He knew about the Red Sox from day one, so that's just close to his heart. In this one, yeah, there's concerns if you believe and you trust surface numbers like ERA and those kind of things, and you play to those numbers of over across the full season, you're going to be in trouble. As Dave said, really all those numbers, the peripherals, are baked into the price for the most part. But look under the hood in Perez. If you look under the hood and you see an XFIP of 5, FIP higher, if you look at his WHIP, all his peripherals suggest that if you see an ERA lower than 4.5 for Perez, that he's outpitched his ERA, his peripherals. So I like Scherzer. Scherzer's the kind of guy, as Matt said, gives up he gives up solo home runs because he pitches different from the stretch as he does from the windup. And he's he's challenged you on a windup, he's going to challenge hitters. He'll challenge it. Sometimes you beat him. When it comes down to the nitty gritty, he's shown year after year after year he will perform. I like Scherzer on the run line here.
And just a reminder, Dave's got a free play. I've also got a free play up for Friday baseball. Matt and Tony as well post free plays often at Sports Memo for Matt, Wager Talk for Tony, Dave, and myself. And by the way, my free play is the last game we just talked, the side selection of that Toronto game that we talked, Orioles and Blue Jays. So I do have a free play with analysis at wagertalk.com on that one. Forgot to mention that as we hit that last game. We'll keep the quick hits going, guys. Matt, what do you think here of White Sox and Royals? White Sox, a modest 140 favorite against a Kansas City team that's been very inconsistent all season.
So I know I'm going to get an eye roll from the rest of the panel here, but I went to one of my favorite props in this game. I went to the over 28.5 runs, hits, and errors. I expect a lot of runs in this game. Reynaldo Lopez has not been very good. He's got a 5.81 ERA against Kansas City last year in 5 starts. Gio Gonzalez is going to back him because most likely Lopez is only going to go 3 or 4 innings because he's still got a lot of building up to do. And the Royals actually hit lefties pretty good with, I think they're 5th in batting average. And then you look at Danny Duffy, who finally gets to see somebody other than the Twins. By the way, the White Sox smack around lefties. I know I've said that twice around. I mean, it's ridiculous. And plus, you've got a Danny Duffy who's coming in, who's got forearm tightness and is still making this start. So to me, instead of playing just the over, which you could, I'm going to play the over runs, hits, and errors and hope for a bunch of runners on the base pass.
Yeah, I mean, the White Sox numbers against lefties are just frightening. If I'm a lefty pitcher, I don't want to face them. It's like, geez, I hope it rains. Because they have just annihilated lefties. And it starts right at the top with Tim Anderson, who needs to be getting more attention. I mean, the guy won the batting title last year. He's never going to win a Gold Glove at shortstop. I thought, quite honestly, I thought they'd move him to center field early in his career. But, man, I'm telling you, he is a weapon offensively. He gets things started, and then you got Moncada, and then you got Abreu, who's just on fire right now. It just looks to me, I mean, it almost looks too easy to bet the over in this game with a shaky Reynaldo Lopez. Gio, when he's got his command, he can be tough, but that's an iffy thing. And Duffy, generally speaking, if you leave him in past the fourth inning, bad things start to happen. And against this lineup, bad things might start to happen early. I mean, it sure looks like an over, and I'm not a big over better, so it didn't make my card. It's just not a bet I like to make because I don't do particularly well with over bets, to be honest with you. So I didn't play it, but boy, that's the only way I'd look.
Tony, they put up the White Sox 7 runs or more in 7 of their last 10 games now.
When I first looked at this game, I wanted desperately to. At the first look is, hey, Chicago White Sox facing left-hander. I'm going to bet the White Sox. Then with Lopez, can't bet Lopez. I watched Lopez last time out, and if you look, he got 5 swings and misses on his slider. He's getting his stuff is not the same. He's getting no swings and misses on his fastball, on pitches that he typically lives and dies on, getting swings and misses on. And he's only had 2-3 outings this year, and he's just not right. He's not ready to face even a Kansas City lineup. And I agree with them both. Over is probably too easy. 10's a big number, but I would love to play the Royals as an underdog here, but I can't. Not with the way the White Sox hit Southpaw.
By the way, weather could be an issue tonight too. There is rain in the forecast. We don't know if it'll be. Yeah, they could be in the middle of the game, could be late in the game. And by the way, if it's in the middle of the game and you get these starting pitchers out, that actually might be a bad thing for the over. By the way.
Yeah.
Long shot, Louis. Hey, congrats, buddy. You just got the award, the asshole of the day. These guys don't give picks. I think I've given a pick on just about every game so far.
Yeah.
I mean, are you deaf or just stupid? It's interesting that trolls, they're pretty much the same everywhere. They're all retards. They really are. They never say anything. They never contribute anything. They just talk crap, and they clearly don't listen. But,
so Dave, he posted that a minute ago, which was right after Matt Josephs gave a free over a prop play that he likes as a best bet that he's not selling, but he gave out for free. You mentioned the play before with you mentioned you had a play in the Nationals game as your free selection, and you were playing it. And then I mentioned right after that the game before, I also have a free game with analysis on the Toronto-Baltimore game. So the last 3 games we've touched on, we all 3 actually have selections that are available right now, and we didn't charge for any of them.
Well, just a question for Louis. Maybe you can answer it. Did you have to go to take training to be a complete douchebag, or were you born this way? Because if you want to get into insults, buddy, I'm way better at it than you are. Okay.
And by the way, we got a lot of guys jumping up. Here's our bear Hunter. Free plays all over. Whenever we give you information and make plays based on.
But we also are giving opinions on the games.
No question about it. And I think of the 359 live viewers that we have right now, guys, I'd say 357 of them fully understand that. And we got a lot of guys. I was actually going to pop up some stuff earlier because we had a lot of guys praising the show, and I just hadn't gotten around to it. But Dave got me in there now that Louis popped his head up. So good work as always. But yeah, look.
Louis doesn't want to play the dozens with me. I can guarantee you that. I grew up in a neighborhood where that was a rite of passage, and I can crush you, dude.
Scott actually put this up about 10 minutes ago. I was going to pop it on the screen, but we were moving quick on the hits, and I didn't get a chance. But, yeah, we got some good viewers out here. Louis, you're probably one of them as well. You just want your name on the screen. Hey, look, mission accomplished, Louis. You got your name on the screen. Good job. Let's look at the Brewers Pirates. Not much to say about Pittsburgh, Matt, other than that they doubled their season wins last weekend. Any way you trust them at this point?
This is my best bet for today, or this is the one that's on the website on sportsmemo.com, so I will pass it over to Dave then.
Nice. Yeah, by the way, Matt's at sportsmemo.com, everybody. Sportsmemo.com for that best bet.
For some reason, I can't find my notes on the Pirates game. Here it is, the Holland Burns. Okay. I just, for some reason, I just couldn't read my own writing, which happened. I still do things longhand. Yeah, it's overpriced, but you still can't make a good case for Pittsburgh. Burns has blowaway stuff, and the Pirates were in good situations. A couple of days ago, they were not actually a very good situation and came up completely lame against the White Sox. I think they shot their load last weekend. The problem with the Brewers is, and the problem with playing the Brewers here, they're just playing really uninspired baseball yesterday. I watched most of that doubleheader with the Reds because a lot of games got postponed yesterday, and it's like, well, this is on, so I'm going to watch this. They're just flat, which is a surprise to me because I thought this was going to be a good team coming into this year. It's a good organization, and I thought that they might actually benefit from the rule changes, and it just hasn't happened. I can't be risking $2 on the Brewers right now.
Yeah, Tony, I was going to say, if you have any momentum beliefs at all, this is maybe the game of the century here with Pittsburgh. They won back-to-back as a doubleheader yesterday as a $1.45 favorite. Yeah. They won 5 out of 7 after winning only 4 games for the first month and a half. And the Brewers get swept yesterday, as I mentioned, putting up 1 run, allowing 12 runs, and allowing 21 hits in just 15 innings. So,
and their main guy just isn't swinging the bat. I mean, Yelich is the main. He's just not getting it done. And
guys, if I told you that was the parameters for this game, do you think that Milwaukee would be the team that's a $2 favorite? Whew.
Well, this is my point. I was about to say to you guys, and we all know these pitchers, we all know these players, but for the most part, if you're a weekend warrior and you look at this game and you see the name Burns and you see the name and minus 220 by it, you have to kind of shake your head and say, who the hell's Burns and where does he get off being a 220 favorite? He doesn't. Dave's right. He doesn't get off being. However, he can be that good.
Oh yeah, he's got the potential.
Yeah. He can also be that damn bad. And Dave's right. Milwaukee may be asleep at the wheel and they get nothing and make another pitcher look just fantastic. I wanted desperately, and when I first saw this matchup, I want to play Burns, but I'm not playing Burns minus 220. My money out. You know what I mean? Not with Louis. No, what was his name? Sleepy Lou or whatever his name. I'm not with his money. I'm not playing minus 220.
No, he doesn't have any money. This is a good comment from Leo Leon or Leon. I think we mentioned this, and it may be worse than we speculated. Brewers demoralized after Lorenzo Cain left.
Good bet. Yeah.
I think that's had an impact. He's one of the leaders in this team, and I really do think it's had an impact. Good comment.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as Cornell's saying here, Milwaukee 4-8 at home. Like I said, they put up 1 run in a doubleheader yesterday, and you're getting them as a $2 favorite. Interesting game to say the least. And Matt doesn't necessarily have a side or total on this. He had a matchup on the Pirates last week when they won the win streak. He actually had a first 5-inning under winner, I believe, in that game. So Matt plays a lot of innings, lots of totals. And once again, Matt Joseph has a best bet on this game at sportsmemo.com. And Matt, I'll stick with you here as we talk about the Indians. I think at 20-1, the Indians have some value right now in the futures market to win the World Series. $1.30 road favorite at the Cardinals.
I don't think so.
No,
they can't hit.
No, but that's my point. And I'll say real quick, I know we're doing quick hits, but the reason I say that's because they're pitching. And I think
the pitching's terrific.
Pitching's the key in the postseason. You got to
hit the baseball once in a while.
I agree, but pitching's the key in the postseason. That's the only reason I bring them up as a dark horse for the postseason. But we'll see what happens. Matt, what's your take though on the Indians and Cardinals?
Well, I posted a free play on this game. I like, and I've been crushing the Indians offense, and I feel like that I'm asking them to win me the first 5 here because I like McKenzie. If you look at what McKenzie did in that start against the Tigers, now part of it was the Tigers, but he had the 10 strikeouts. He got 42.3% whiff rate on his fastball, which was as good as advertised. The other thing that you noticed with his fastball was the vertical and how much it rose. It was 21% more rise compared to fastballs with a similar velocity. The kid looked very good, and then you've got Ponce de Leon, who did not look very good. He's walking too many guys. He's not going deep in games. His curveball, he's not getting as many ground balls as he'd like. He's not striking out enough guys. So to me, I took a shot with the Indians first 5 here to keep that. Hope that McKenzie does pretty well here. It was not a terrible money line here. Now, granted, look, it's an offense terrible as Dave said, but I'll take a shot with the Indians first 5 here.
And free play alert. There's another free play, Louie. Oh, my God. We've got him down like 4 of the last 5 games now. We have to stop, guys. Dave, please do not give out anything on this one.
Okay. No, I want to see a little more of McKenzie. He did look just fabulous in his debut. And everything Matt just said about Ponce de Leon is accurate. And the fact is he's just not that good. I mean, if you look, he was never considered to be a top prospect. And to me, he's kind of outpitched his peripherals as a major leaguer. His stuff is really ordinary. And it looks to me like he might get caught up to this year. The problem is, can the Indians hit anybody?
Yeah.
I just don't trust them, and therefore can't play it. I mean, on the pitching, it looks like Cleveland. But, I mean, this is a team that Ponce de Leon could get healthy against. And you are paying, in my opinion, you are paying for it in the price. It's just his second start. He's already a decent-sized favorite on the road.
Tony, can Ponce de Leon discover the strike zone? How do you like that one?
Yeah.
I like that. That was good.
Yeah, if you're gonna play the Indians right now, you play them against right-handed pitchers. However, McKenzie, he had 17 swings and misses. This is a kid, 17 swings and misses in 40 some pitches. 11, a ridiculous 11 swings and misses on a fastball. No foul ball, swings and misses. And he's throwing about 94, 96 miles an hour. If you're looking at a prospect and you want to make a judgment or assessment on how's he going to move forward, at least these are promising. But as Dave said, we need some more. I need to see more. And
and the thing is that it caught up in the price immediately.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes.
He's a $1.30 favorite.
Yeah.
On the road. So
yeah, I agree.
The market certainly likes him.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah.
Yeah, he'd be at least $1.50, $1.60 favorite, at home when you factor in the hitting last, even though there's no fans, it's all because they bat last in the ninth, definitely the 10th, which is huge now. Guys, I think we got 4 games left. We got about 5-6 minutes. So, Matt Joseph, I'll throw it to you. We'll do some more quick hits here. We'll keep in about 30 seconds each. So, what's your thoughts on this next one on the board? Dodgers, Rangers, 220 favorite LA at Texas.
I mean, Minor's been bad. The velocity's down. The home run rate is up. May is not striking out guys, and he's not going deep in games. But Dave Roberts said last game that there's his pitch mix is inducing soft contact, and that's more important than the strikeouts here. I've always said I love watching May pitch. I'm not going to lay that price necessarily with the Dodgers. Minor could be pitching for the Dodgers after the trade deadline, or he's pitching for somebody on the trade deadline. So nothing here on this game.
Yeah, I think they did a good job with the price. I don't like the situation for the Dodgers. Excuse me. The hourly spam call. I never take them.
It might have been a free winner.
It's not a good scheduling spot for the Dodgers. The problem is you can't just play against them because of that. With a guy who's not pitching well in Minor, a team who's not hitting well in their new ballpark, and the Dodgers they're just running away with the best record. To me, it's you look for spots to play on the Dodgers or leave the game alone at this point. So that's what I'll do on this one.
And Tony, as I've been saying all season long, it's pretty much automatic. You either play the dog on the money line or you play the Dodgers minus 1.5 run line. It's been pretty good one way or the other for the Dodger games.
I think that's a good play tonight. Why not play? Listen, he's doing exactly what he's being told to do. They don't care if he doesn't go deep in games. They're as deep as any team. Even Jansen. I'll take Jansen over most of the players and at least closers in the game today, and he's not even close to what he was 3 years ago. They're deep, they're good, they hit the ball. May's every pitch he has is dynamic, and they're asking him, "Listen, use more of your pitches. We want you to develop," and he's still in the rotation. Even though Kershaw's back. That speaks to how good this kid is.
And by the way, that game's actually on the rotation later. I skipped over the Padres, but it starts earlier. It's a slight time change. It does go earlier at 8:05 Eastern. So if anyone is playing it, please be aware that it's a little bit of an earlier start so you don't miss it. The next game, though, time-wise, is that Padre-Rocky game. Matt, I'll get your quick hit on this one. It's a pick'em in Colorado, 11.5 in Coors Field. Actually, not that high of a total for Coors Field overall.
I mean, it's first 5 under potentially here. Yep. 6.5 is the play here. When you look at Freeland, 10 double play ground balls, 10 double play grounders this year versus 12 all of last year. When the grounders are working, especially in Coors Field, he's going to start working. Davies didn't pitch that badly August 2nd in Coors Field. So to me, I'd look at the first 5 under here.
Davies, he gave up a couple of home runs in that game, but if there's nobody on, that's no big deal. And he's pitching better than he ever has. His command has been just terrific this year. So even though he's one of those guys who's a soft tosser, he's a finesse guy, he's hitting his spots. And Freeland has rebounded in a big way from the problems he had last season. It's been a first 5 under ballpark, and I can't argue against that with 2 pitchers in really good form.
Yeah, and by the way, Matt, it opened 6.5. It's now 6. I even see some 5.5s out there. So the odds makers are catching, or the betting market, I should say, is catching on to mid-major Matt's first 5 under in Rocky home games this year, which has been working.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I just, I'm worried about Davies, and Freeland could blow up at any point, but I think he's pitching well and everything's going well for him.
I don't think he is going to blow up. I mean, I've watched him, and he's throwing it like he did a couple of years ago, and he's got more experience now than he did. He's probably the best he's ever been right now. He doesn't have phenomenal stuff, but that slider of his works pretty well.
And Tony, let me know if you see anything here, and also let me know what you're looking at in Angels and Mariners. We'll hit that one next.
Real quick on this game that you guys have talked to, and that is, if I ask you a question, if I ask you what was the last pitcher for the Milwaukee Brewers to be a favorite of 200 more at home, who would you answer? Who would you say that pitcher would be? And it was Zach Davies last year. Zach Davies minus 220 home. So I give Davies a lot of trouble about the same thing these guys get in trouble about, soft tosser, not missing the bats, but there's some respect where Davies comes. So be careful to be just fading him because it's Zach Davies. So as far as the Angels games go, I don't have I could give you a lot of comments. I'm not going to pass these guys along. I don't have
But very quickly, the first five, if you do like the under, you got to go first five. Neither bullpen is reliable at all.
Yeah, Matt, any thoughts on that Angel Mariners? And we'll close out then with Giants Diamondbacks.
Nope. 2 pitchers I try and stay away from for the sanity of my health.
Quick notes. You've got the Angels have been going over at home. Mm-hmm. The Mariners have been going over on the road. Could see some the downside, and it's why I looked at that and said, boy, this might be a good overplay. And then came the conflict. Mariners numbers against lefties, Angels numbers against lefties. They ain't good. I still think the over is the way to play here, but I can't do it with 2 teams that are actually hitting below 200 against lefties.
And I'll point out, by the way, guys, don't look now, but the Mariners are 6-2 their last 8 games. We talked about how about the Pirates and the Mariners, the 2 worst teams in the league. They both have been winning over the past week. They both have been over 70%.
I'll give the Giants and Mariners credit. I still think the Pirates, they played a little better lately, but they suck. But the Pirates, the Giants and Mariners are playing with a lot of enthusiasm on a daily basis. And they're stealing some games that maybe they shouldn't win otherwise.
Yeah, motivations, we don't talk about it as much in baseball because it's a daily sport. But, yeah, motivation can help you. And, Dave, I'll finish this quick hit with you on this game. Giants, Arizona. Giants now 15-18. But they're still in that playoff position despite, what was it, a 7-game win streak. They now lost back-to-back after that doubleheader shutout yesterday against the Dodgers.
Yeah, and it's the ultimate conflict for me because anybody who's watched this show knows I really like Zach Gallen. And everything I've said about Gallen going into the season has come true. He's pitching brilliant baseball. But how can you back a Diamondbacks team that's lost, 40 in a row right now? It seems that way. It's not 40, but they're just not. I mean, they finally get some runs the other day, so that's the day the pitching falls apart. Everything's going wrong for them right now. Can't back them, especially can't back them at a big price. And I'm not going against Gallen. So this is a game where, if you want to say that I'm not giving opinions, this is a game where I definitely don't have an opinion.
Yeah, Tony, actually, my best bet on the Nationals was canceled yesterday. But then I had a free play. Actually, I was backing the D-backs yesterday, minus 150. I was looking for them to break that 8-game win streak, which is lose streak, which is something I very rarely do. That's why it was only a free play. It wasn't strong enough. But what are your thoughts on that 8-game losing streak? Can they take advantage of a Giants team that's maybe due for a correction?
I can't touch this game for 100 reasons. First off, I'm not a big fan of Tyler Anderson, but this guy pitched his first complete game, last week. So a team that's playing like for a capper like this, if I'm on anything here, I'm on the Giants just because of the way D-backs are playing.
And he's a Las Vegas kid too, so you don't want to go.
Yeah, that's right. He is a Las Vegas. He's right. Yeah.
Hey, Matt, by the way, the Giants, when they won 7 straight yesterday, they'd put up 6 runs or more in 6 of those 7 wins, and then they get shut out in both losses yesterday. So do you think their offense can pick it back up in Arizona this weekend?
Gallen's 8 starts at home. The total's 6-0-2 to the under. The combined score in each of those starts has been 9 runs or less. But the thing to me is Anderson threw 103 pitches that last game. We've talked about in previous shows the concern level over somebody throwing that many pitches. He has not thrown over 100 pitches since late 2018. So to me, there's going to probably be some regression. But as everybody said, can you back the Diamondbacks? Can you trust them in the situation where they should, at least in the first 5 innings, have a lead? I don't know if I can trust them here.
And guys, we don't do a lot with daily fantasy, at least Dave and myself. Tony, if you have something, I'll throw it to you after Matt. But Mid-Major Matt is not only our mid-major expert, but you're also our fantasy guy, Matt. So what you looking at for DFS for Friday?
Well, I counted back 6 straight times. I've had a guy hit a homer, that's not a bad bet. So to me today, there's 3 players I'm isolating. Corbin Burns, who's really cheap in a lot of places, and he's facing the Pirates at home. He's going to get strikeouts. Here's your Kansas City Royal of the night, Jorge Soler, 11 of 17 with 3 homers against Reynaldo Lopez in his career. And I'm going to go Alec Baum once again. He's starting to inch up price-wise, but he's still below 3,000, especially on FanDuel. So if you want to go a higher, more expensive pitcher, you can slide Alec Baum in there against a bad Robbie Erlin.
Yeah, Matt, by the way, I can't pull up the earlier chat because it was right at the beginning of the show, but one of our viewers did give you a thanks for all the home run props. They said they've been cashing on those here over the past week.
Cool.
Tony, any play-on-play against pitchers or hitters that you're seeing?
I'll ask Matt real quickly. What's the price on what is the value on Burns? I liked Burns as well, like you just mentioned, but there's two pitchers I want to know the price on, and that would be Wheeler and Burns. How are they compared to the top prices in at wherever you're talking?
Well, I'm pulling up FanDuel now. Wheeler's actually pretty expensive. I believe he's actually the second most expensive pitcher. And as we talked about here, you can go expensive on the pitchers. You just got to nail your hitters.
Scherzer the most expensive?
Scherzer's the most expensive. Actually, it goes Scherzer's most expensive. Gallen's number 2. Wheeler is number 3. And then there's a drop-off to Freeland, who is 4. Tristan McKenzie's is more expensive on FanDuel than he is on DraftKings. So if you do DraftKings with 2 starting pitchers, I went McKenzie and Burns there. And then I went Burns on FanDuel because the price was right there.
That was the 2 I would look at thinking I could get a better price, but obviously I can't, not with Wheeler. I would have said Burns. That's just my thoughts.
Dave, anything wet your whistle after hearing those numbers?
No, I can't bet it anyway.
Yeah, we can.
That's right. How ironic. It's funny. The one state that's had sports betting for half a century is one of the few that has no daily fantasy. It just shows the hypocrisy of
no lottery tickets. They're not going to let us buy lottery tickets.
As we talked about yesterday, Matt Marco was on the show. We were talking about you can get your liquor, your slots, and your groceries all at one-stop shop. So that is nice at times. Hey, guys, great show. We will be back, of course, for weekend episodes. This is the one show on Wager Talk TV that is 7 days a week, Monday through Sunday. Now, we're weekdays at 2 Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific as today, but more importantly, we are back this weekend at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. So come back earlier. Don't miss it. If you do miss it, archived on YouTube all day long, so you're never going to miss out on some free plays. We had a lot of them in this show. And then, of course, best bets also at wagertalk.com and sportsmemo.com for Matt Josephs. Hey, everybody, great show as always. We'll be back on Saturday and Sunday, 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific for MLB First Pitch right here on Wager Talk TV. Good luck.